Hi, everybody. Apologies, I'm quite ill, so I'm going to try my best to be coherent. So my name is Sophie Shomas. I'm a lecturer in gender studies at SOAS University of London. The Center for Gender Studies sits in the School of Law, Gender and Media. So we only offer postgraduate programs. The full-time program is a year long, but we also have part-time options, so students can do our programs either over the course of 2 years or over the course of 3 years if they want to do it part-time, but you can obviously also do the full-time option. We have currently 4 degree programs in total. The MA Gender Studies, which is our most flexible and most popular degree program, the MA Gender Studies with special reference to the Middle East, the MA Transnational Queer Feminist Politics, the MA Transnational Queer Feminist Politics with special reference to the Middle East, and the MA Gender Studies and Law. In terms of what distinguishes our programs from other gender studies programs, either in the UK or in other contexts. So SOAS's strength and its particularity derives from combining traditional academic disciplines with a focus on the study of Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. So in line with this, at the Center for Gender Studies, you would not only learn gender and queer theory, but you'd learn these bodies of knowledge in relation to those geographic regions. And a big sort of focus of ours is on explaining what it means to adopt a decolonial approach to knowledge acquisition and production when it comes to gender and sexuality. And we really emphasize problematizing the Western canon when it comes to gender and queer theory, and looking beyond the Western canon for theories and methodologies. So really our programs and curricula introduce you to alternative feminisms, so decolonial, intersectional, and transnational feminisms. There's a real kind of political emphasis underpinning our programs. So how can we cultivate solidarity with those who are most exploited and oppressed? And how can we keep from dissolving the experiences of people who inhabit diverse parts of the world into one another? How can we embrace difference and learn from difference? So at CGS, you would learn to contextualize the region, country, city, or community whose gendered or sexual relations you're interested in analyzing, and you'd learn to approach gender and sexuality intersectionally rather than in isolation, so examining the numerous dynamics that intersect with them and that shape them in which they shape. So CGS is really a place for taking people seriously on their own terms, for listening to what they say about themselves and their lives, and for thinking critically about encountering the silencing of people in the non-Western world. We pride ourselves on looking at what queer and feminist activists are doing on the ground in the regions that we study, for example, and really more than just learning to represent particular parts of the world. At CGS, we encourage you to treat Asia, Africa, and the Middle East as zones of theoretical production as well, so as spaces that can help us theorize about the world we live in. And beyond the study of gender and feminist theory, we're also committed to approaching queerness as a mode of critique. So the term queer, as it was originally imagined, is meant to signify an oppositional stance to whatever is considered normative at a given point in time. It's both a political orientation and an action. So to queer, or to engage in queering as it relates to knowledge production, is to radically question established assumptions and the ways of thinking that we take for granted. And that's a key part of what we try and do, not both in terms of our teaching, but also in terms of our research at the Center for Gender Studies. We're quite invested in cultivating community with the students that come through our programs. So we really like to think of ourselves as a space for questioning, for rethinking, for moving beyond the taken for granted, and really wading into unknown territory with people who have collectively committed to cultivating inclusivity. So we really try to practice calling each other in rather than out when we're dealing with conflict or different opinions. A lot of emphasis on educating one another and approaching each other and difficult topics with respect and sensitivity, really thinking about our positionality when we're both inside the classroom and outside of it. In terms of activities, we organize a quite popular public seminar series, and the kind of purpose of that is to really challenge the divide between academia and the non-academic world. So we do invite academics, but we also really try to center activists and cultural practitioners within that seminar series to really kind of focus on theorizing around gender and sexuality and the politics of gender and sexuality that are happening outside of the classroom and outside of academic spaces, because a lot of the students that we draw come to gender studies or come to queer studies for political as well as and personal as well as professional and academic reasons. We also, try to offer our students space to cultivate community amongst themselves. So, offering, venues and sort of funding for running things like radical self-care events and that sort of thing. I think that's everything that I have to say for now. I'll say we also have a PhD program, which is something I forgot to mention. So our PhD programs are normally 3 to 4 years in the UK, and in the UK, PhD programs tend to emphasize sort of independent study, and so you don't really do much coursework, and it's really just it's really about an immersive process of supervision with you and your supervisory committee, but I'm happy to say more about that during the Q&A. Thank you.